Let me show you the perfect family. Here's the mom. She's amazing in the kitchen. My famous apple pie is ready. And here's the dad. He's the head of the family and really good with his hands. I fixed the refrigerator. They are very proud of their daughter. Mom, Dad, I got a part in a school musical. Wait, hold on. Did you think that was me? Nope. I was reading a textbook in the corner over there. That perfect family was fake. It wasn't even a real house, but a set. They were filming a TV series. My mom didn't actually know how to cook. She was always on a diet. Cut. Finally! Get this high-carb crap away from me and bring me some water! As for Dad, he had never even held tools and was obsessed with his looks. Oh, I'm breaking out again! Call the makeup artist! The girl who played their sweet daughter was called Sue. She was terribly spoiled. Fame had gone to her head. We never got along. Jeez, everyone here is so lame. The only reason the show hasn't been canceled yet is me. Sue, ever heard of modesty? You're not even an actress. Why are you always on set? I'm waiting for my parents. You know, like I've been doing for years. Let's talk about me now. Hi, I'm Iris. As you've probably realized already, my mom and dad were famous actors. They wanted me to follow in their footsteps, but I felt sick whenever I saw cameras. And I mean that literally. When my parents brought me to an audition, I was so nervous I thought I was going to puke. One day, when I was still a little girl, some producers suggested my parents star in their series. Everyone wanted me to play their daughter, but I didn't have any acting skills. To be honest, I didn't want to do it anyway, but mom and dad still dragged me to the audition, which I miserably failed. Iris, that was so terrible. Are you even our daughter? I asked myself that question every day. My parents and I were too different. They were celebrities, divas. I was an ordinary girl who liked studying and wanted to become a biochemist. After my failure, the producers held an audition for the role of my parents' daughter. Sue got the role. She acted like a harmless angel in front of the adults and made faces at me when no one saw it. I'm gonna work with your parents, loser. On the screen, they looked like the perfect family, but I didn't feel jealous. On the contrary, I was glad when my mom and dad left me alone. All I wanted to do was focus on my studies, but I was in for a disappointment. My parents constantly went on tours and dragged me along. I often missed classes because of that. Several years went by. The series was still popular, so they kept filming new seasons. I got into high school. Iris, you'll never guess what happened. That's my friend Nate. He was weird, but he was a great guy. He talked a lot, but he was kind and knew everything there was to know about computers. Well, spit it out already. I was standing next to Phoebe in the dining room today, and I almost plucked up the courage to talk to her. Who is Phoebe? Oh, come on. I told you that. It's a girl from the drama club. I've been in love with her for a year now. I'm pretty sure she doesn't know I exist, though. Oh, yeah. Well, good luck with that, Romeo. I didn't know who Phoebe was because I didn't care about the drama club. I was a member of the science club. Not to brag, but I was the best student in it. Unfortunately, my parents didn't care about my academic achievements. They kept dragging me to auditions. When I tried to say I wasn't interested in it, Mom just laughed. How could our daughter not be interested in the movie industry? You must have been switched at birth. By the way, dear, that nurse Samantha misplaced our baby right after she was born, remember? Right! We must have ended up with the wrong toddler. I'd always rolled my eyes at their stupid jokes. Ha 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 ha. Hilarious. A science fair was coming up. I was reading in a textbook in the back room while waiting for my parents. Hey, bookworm, doesn't your brain hurt from studying so much? Well, at least I have a brain. I doubt you've ever read anything but scripts. As you can see, our relationship hadn't gotten better over the years, but I didn't care about Sue's dumb jokes. What mattered most was my efforts hadn't been in vain. After all, the next morning, I found out I'd be representing our school at a science fair in another city. Hell yeah! I proudly told Nate about it. My friend congratulated me, and then a cool-looking girl came up to us. Hi, you're Iris, right? The top student? What about it? Can you please tutor me in chemistry? If I fail the next test, I won't be allowed to participate in the school play. Being an actress is my dream. Please. I didn't want to waste my time on that, and her puppy dog eyes didn't work on me. But then, Nate grabbed me by the arm and pulled me aside. Hey, can I talk to you for a sec? You have to agree. Why is that? Because that's Phoebe, the girl of my dreams. That made sense. Nate begged me to talk to her and find out more about her so he could figure out how to impress her. Well, we were friends, and there was little that I wouldn't do for him. I told Phoebe I would tutor her, and we agreed to meet at her house the next day. Next, I went home and told my parents I was going to a science fair the next weekend. You're going to have to miss the fair, my little star. We're going to a film festival that weekend. I said I already had plans, but my parents didn't give a damn about it. The paparazzi will destroy us if we appear on the red carpet without our dear daughter. Why wasn't I surprised? All they cared about was what they wanted. I was so sick of my parents acting like divas. The next day, I came to Phoebe's place. We didn't have anything in common, so it was a bit awkward. But for Nate's sake, I asked her a lot of questions to get to know her better. There were two things that really surprised me. First, it turned out that Phoebe and I were born on the same day. What a coincidence. And second, her parents were famous scientists. Her mom looked into the room and offered us juice. I couldn't believe my eyes. After all, I recognized her. You're Elena Myers, a physicist! I read an article about you in a scientific journal. Oh, I didn't know my daughter had such smart friends. Phoebe's mom and I got to talking. We had so many things in common, it felt like we could chat forever. But Phoebe soon interrupted us. Have you forgotten about me? Oh, I'm sorry. I won't distract you any longer, girls. You should study. She left, and Phoebe turned red as a tomato. Sorry, my mom is a bit boring. Oh, come on. She's great. I never know how to talk to my parents. They're always saying I should follow in their footsteps. Blah, 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 blah. Are you kidding me? I would give anything to have parents like yours. Mine don't take my dream of being an actress seriously. Phoebe, you should be a scientist like me and Dad. Ugh, I'm so sick of it. It seemed Phoebe and I had more in common than I realized. We both felt like strangers in our own families. It was almost like we were adopted. That's when I had a crazy idea. Phoebe, we should convince our parents that we were switched at birth. At first, she thought my idea was ridiculous, but I told her we would only swap places for a little while. I'll go to my science fair, and my famous parents will help you with your career. It's a win-win. Okay, I'm in. The operation swapped at birth began. Every day, Phoebe and I hinted that we weren't related to our parents whenever we talked to them. Mom, Dad, remember you told me a nurse lost me in the hospital? What if I'm really not your child? At first, they just laughed, but after a few days, they grew serious. Great, it was time for the next phase of our plan. Phoebe and I told our parents we needed samples of their DNA for a school project. Then, we turned to our computer genius Nate for help. My friend made fake DNA tests for us. According to them, I was the daughter of the Myers, and Phoebe was the child of my famous parents. I did my best to act confused when I showed the DNA test to my parents. Mom, Dad, I thought you were joking, but I really was switched at birth. Dad almost fainted, and Mom's eyes started twitching when she heard the news. Well, they were actors, so they were always pretty dramatic. Soon, Phoebe's family came over to our place. The adults went to another room to talk while my partner in crime and I eavesdropped at the door. Our parents talked about the nurse Samantha that forgot where she put us right after we were born. I can't believe it. Have we been raising someone else's child this whole time? Well, that explains why Iris doesn't look like us at all. In the end, they decided to swap daughters for a while to get to know their biological children better. I couldn't believe that our plan worked. That day, I packed and moved into the house of the scientists, and Phoebe moved in with my parents. The next day at school, we told Nate that our mission was a success, and Phoebe kissed him. Quite a reward for his help, wouldn't you agree? We couldn't have done it without you. Oh, I'm happy to help, girls. Living with Mr. and Mrs. Myers felt like a fairy tale. We discussed scientific theories from dusk till dawn, and they were impressed by how much I knew. More than that, they even came with me to the science fair. Meanwhile, Phoebe was having a great time at the movie festival with my parents. After the weekend, Phoebe and I met at school, and she said my parents agreed to help her with her acting career. They want me to replace Sue on the show. I was over the moon. After all, I had never liked Sue. She was so arrogant. As we talked, Nate came up to us. He looked quite worried. Nate, what's up with you? Girls, my uncle works in a lab and I sent him your DNA samples. Just for fun, but, well, turns out you really were switched at birth. I thought my friend was kidding, but he showed us the real test results. No, it had to be a mistake. Phoebe and I couldn't believe it was actually true. We decided to talk to the only person who could tell us what really happened all those years ago, the nurse Samantha. She was still working in that hospital. She hadn't forgotten the day she lost 2 toddlers for a brief period of time. That was my first day here. I was terribly nervous and lost the nameplates for 2 newborns. In the end, I might have given them to the wrong parents. Samantha sincerely regretted it. Unfortunately, we couldn't turn back time. Phoebe and I had no choice but to accept it and move on. Besides, I really liked Mr. and Mrs. Myers. Phoebe soon started acting in the series instead of Sue. Things were going great, but then I started feeling sad. The Myers were wonderful people, but they were also pretty boring. I missed my crazy parents and their antics. I missed seeing Dad scream at the sight of his wrinkles and being dragged to the shops by my mom. I even watched their TV show in secret to feel closer to them. Sadly, Phoebe and my parents looked like a perfect family. However, it turned out they were only happy on the screen. Phoebe told me she missed her boring parents when we met at school. I really miss my parents. I mean, yours are great, but we're strangers. After all, they weren't the ones who raised me. We both regretted finding out the truth and decided to fix everything. We told our parents that the DNA tests hadn't been real. We said it was all a prank and we wanted to switch back. They were furious, and they scolded us for several hours. Girls, this isn't funny. You're grounded, young ladies. Yeah, they weren't kidding about that. But what mattered was life went back to normal. Phoebe, Nate, and I swore we wouldn't tell anyone the truth about the DNA tests. It could ruin our lives. I was still worried someone would find out the truth, and I once told my friends about it when we were in a cafe. Relax, Iris. We're the only ones who know about that, and none of us are gonna tell anyone. My friend's words calmed me down. Unfortunately, I had been right to be worried. Sue soon showed up and said she overheard our conversation in the cafe. Oh no, it was a disaster. Here are my terms, Iris. Either you frame Phoebe and I get my role back, or I tell your dirty secret to your parents. Ugh, that wicked witch. She gave me 1 day to think about it and left, smiling as if she'd already won. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to frame Phoebe, but the thought of losing my parents again terrified me. I thought about it for a long time, but finally decided I wouldn't let Sue blackmail me. Instead, I would tell Mom and Dad the truth. I hurried home and saw Mr. and Mrs. Myers there. I hid behind the door and I eavesdropped on the adults. Even though we're raising each other's daughters, we should still spend some time with our biological children. I agree. You should tutor Iris, and we'll help Phoebe with her career. What was going on? Had they known the truth the whole time? I was so stunned, I couldn't help but run into the room and ask them about it. When you first showed us the results of the DNA test, we didn't believe it. So we called Phoebe's parents and did the test again. The results confirmed you two had been switched at birth. But then, you and Phoebe said it was a prank, and we realized you missed the families you'd grown up with. So, we decided to play along. We missed you, Iris. And we missed Phoebe. Tears stung my eyes. I asked my parents if they really wanted me to live with them, even though we weren't related. Nonsense. We sang you to sleep, changed your diapers, and watched you grow up. We love you more than anyone else in the world, and always will. It was like a heavy weight had been lifted off my shoulders. What a relief! I no longer needed to hide anything. All the lies had been driving me crazy. I moved back in with my famous mom and dad, but still often hung out with my biological parents. Phoebe and Nate became an item. She's still working with my parents. It seemed like all of our troubles were over. But one day, Sue stormed up to me on the street. This isn't over, Iris. What are you talking about? You aren't their real daughter. Sooner or later, they will turn their backs on you. I got mad and chased Sue away. She was just messing with my head because she wanted to get revenge for being fired. One day, you'll realize I was right. Bye. I went to school and saw a billboard of my parents' TV series on the way. Phoebe, Mom, and Dad looked like a happy family. I couldn't help but remember Sue's words. Guys, do you think I should worry? Or will Mom and Dad really always love me? Write your answers in the comments down below.